There's a good chance that you've walked past deer without ever knowing they're there. I know I've done it. As hunters, we spend a lot of money on binoculars, spotting scopes, rangefinders and rifle scopes, all trying to get better at finding animals. But all of those tools rely on exactly the same thing: you actually being able to see the animal. And sometimes, even when they're standing right in front of you, that's easier said than done. Over the last couple of years, I've been carrying a thermal monocular on all of my hunts. Not for night hunting, not for shooting in the dark, mostly for those first few hours before and after sunrise. And honestly, it's completely changed the way I glass. The funny thing about deer is they're often not hiding, they're just difficult to see. A red deer doesn't need much cover to disappear. A bit of shadow, a fold in the terrain, or a little bit of scrub, and suddenly an animal that can weigh a couple of 100 kilos becomes surprisingly easy to miss, especially during that low light period before sunrise when they tend to be most active. And that's exactly where thermal optics start making sense. One of the biggest surprises wasn't how many deer I found, it was how many deer I was probably missing. When most hunters think thermals, they think big money. Thermal binoculars with rangefinders, thousands and thousands of dollars. And while those setups are impressive, they're not really what I was looking for. I wasn't trying to build the ultimate night hunting setup, I just wanted something that would help me find animals more efficiently. And that's what led me to a thermal monocular. This is the Pard Leopard 256. It's essentially a stripped back thermal monocular. No rangefinder, no unnecessary extras, just a compact unit designed to help you find heat signatures. I wasn't buying it to replace my binoculars, I was buying it to use alongside them. One thing I did change recently was adding a tripod plate to the bottom of the unit. On its own, the monocular is designed to be handheld, which is fine for quick scans. But my hunting involves cameras as well, and I found it quite difficult to be using this handheld while setting up other gear at the same time. So I attached the adapter plate which matches my Sirui tripod. And honestly, it's probably one of the best modifications I've made. The first advantage is the obvious one: finding deer. These deer weren't hidden. They weren't buried in thick bush. They were simply difficult to pick up with conventional optics. The thermal doesn't care about camouflage. It doesn't care about shadows. It doesn't care how well a deer blends into the hillside. It just highlights heat. But finding deer is actually the least interesting thing this thing does. Every hunt has that moment. You catch movement, you think you've seen a deer, then you're not so sure. Was it? Wasn't it? And suddenly you're spending 5 minutes staring at the same patch of hillside. The thermal answers that question almost immediately. It sounds simple, but those little moments add up over the course of a hunt. This is probably the benefit I wasn't expecting. Sometimes you spot a deer, you look away, it feeds into a depression, drops behind cover, moves into the shadows, and now you're trying to work out where it went. The thermal makes those situations dramatically easier. Instead of guessing, you're often able to pick up the animal again almost immediately. It's not just deer either. This little rabbit caught my attention one morning, something I would have almost certainly walked past if I hadn't been scanning with my thermal. It's a small example, but it highlights exactly what these units are good at. And it might not seem like anything, but I could have bumped that rabbit straight into a mob of deer and completely ruined my hunt from the beginning. No piece of gear is perfect. And there's one thing about this that still catches me out. The Leopard uses a focus wheel at both ends of the unit. Every now and then I'll spend 30 seconds winding one wheel wondering why I'm not getting the focus right, only to realise that I need to adjust the other one. It's not a deal breaker, and you do get used to it, but if there's one thing I could change about this unit, that's what it would be. When I bought this thermal monocular, I thought it would be useful for finding animals, and it absolutely is. But what surprised me was how much it improved every part of my process up until taking the shot. Finding deer, confirming deer, relocating deer, and making better decisions. I still carry binoculars, I still spend hours behind the glass. That hasn't changed. What has changed is how efficiently I can work through the country and how quickly I can confirm what I'm seeing. For me, that's what's made this one of the most useful bits of kit in my pack. Not because it's a thermal, not because it's packed with features, but simply because it helps me find more deer. If you've been thinking about getting into thermals, you probably don't need the biggest or most expensive setup on the market. Sometimes all you need is something to help you see what was already there.